There we are. We're live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the League of Extraordinary Vapers. We're back for episode 2. Who'd have thought it? As usual panel tonight, we've got Andy. Say hello, Andy.
Hello, Andy.
Zippy. Say hello, Zippy. We're your extra friend.
Evening, dude.
Chris. Say hello, you baldy git.
Hello, last of the Mohicans.
And joining us tonight, we have a young YouTube reviewer by the name of Jordan, who has a man born of all things. Jordan, say hello.
Hello, guys. How are we?
And there's the man block. Right, then we'll go round. Show us what you're vaping. Tell us what you're vaping. Show us your juice. Let's have a look what you're doing. Andy, go first, mate.
I am on the new Doom Diamond from Immortal Mods. I've got him murdered out. OD Green Apocalypse, Half Moon Stubby, drip tip on top there. Jawbreaker, absolutely love it. Got some still on the key lime cookie from Sad Boy. And also on the Exile, again from Immortal Mods. I've got OG Apocalypse on there. And I am on some of this jam on toast, the toaster oil, which is really nice.
Very nice. Zippy, what you got tonight?
I've got secret flavours, which I can't go into too much detail. Grip with Redemption, Sub-Zero coils, and customary half moon tip. And then Stormbreaker with a Dreadnought, again, customary half moon mods tip, the heavy tip. So Sub-Zero coils in there as well. So all good.
Very nice. And Chris, what you got for us tonight?
On the smallest mod I own, the Lassimo F4 and the Titan tank. That's got, what was that? Strawberry lemonade from Drip Packs. And I've also got my Half Moon Squonk with me, and I'm currently vaping on AVB Liquid Monkey's Blood.
What's the dripper you've got on top of that, Chris?
That's the layer cake with the custom Half Moon tip that come with the mod.
And Jordan, what are you vaping on tonight, buddy?
I have the Siege by Immortal Mods, the Exile, and a Half Moon tip. And in that, I have Pancake Man. And I have my Idle Mod, Venom, and Bruce Vapes. Well, Drop Dead on top of that. Bruce Vapes, Apple Pie, and Forest Fruits.
Very nice. Tonight I've got my Reactor from Morningstar Mod with the limited edition APOC 24 with half moon drip tip. On that one, I'm vaping some Shamrock Cookie from Sad Boy. I've got my customary Siege with black APOC 25 again with a half moon mod strip tip, and I'm on some AVB Merce Blood. And I'm on Dominican V2 with the massive gigantuan Smock TFV16, and I've got some Sad Boy Butter Cookie in there. Feel free to take the piss, fellas.
I'm saying nothing.
We're saying nothing.
Yeah, I think everything that needs to be said has been said at this point. Do you know what I mean? We don't want to embarrass you in public, so, you know, you carry on.
You look at, with a hair like that, it looks like it's running off, so we ain't going to say nothing.
Thank you very much.
Thing is, those Smock at their place, same as every other company, every other manufacturer.
Mate, as long as they're doing something good, man.
Quick look in chat.
Yeah,
got a few.
Good evening, Paul. Good evening, Joshua.
Please feel free to share it.
Yeah, feel free to share the link. Tom's making jokes about the coils.
Yeah, making a joke about the Smock coils. Still going strong, nearly 400 mil through that one coil so far. Anyway, I'm not reviewing it. I'm not sat here to review it. Let's get talking. First topic of the night. we're going to touch on after
That
sale clones and people passing clones on as genuine devices, which seems to be a growing thing that's happening now. So, who wants to kick the ball off, Andy?
Well, okay, so it's always kind of got on my nerves, people selling them privately as authentic and, you know, sort of scamming people that way. And, you know, that's bad enough, being admin on loads of vape groups and stuff and having to remove posts and arguing with people. Look, mate, that's a clone. You know, you're welcome to sell it on here, but you know, you've got to list it as a clone. And, you know, people will leave the group rather than, you know, conform to what we want them to do. And then there's the shocking thing, and I'm not actually going to name any names or anything, but
no names.
Yeah, a friend of mine actually ended up buying a couple of clones from one of the bigger online shops in the UK. You know, subsequently they got took down, and the guy realised his mistake and everything, and you know, it was all sorted out. It just goes to show, you know, that really, you know, you've got to be super vigilant, you know, with checking out the authenticity of things and making sure that you're getting things off, you know, people that are getting them from the actual manufacturers, not just, you know.
Yeah. I'm all just saying that there is distinct ways of telling what's clone and what's not clone, if you know what you're looking for. I still don't know that. I go to Andy to ask him most of my stuff because I don't know jack really on what's clone and what's genuine. But there is definite little things that you can tell, not just on the overall general quality.
Yeah, I mean, you will get differences and stuff, but the problem is a lot have got really, really good and really, really close, you know, and it's got to the point now where I don't really like to authenticate stuff for people just in case, because, you know, yeah, you know, if they're not sure about it and they're questioning, you know, where they got it from in the first place, then that tells me that in itself is reason enough to just assume it's a clone, and that's that, you know. But like I say, like Smock, like everything else, you know, these things have their place in the vaping industry, but say it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? Call a spade, so to speak, like, you know.
I'll just say, we're not bashing clones. I mean, no. I, for one, years ago, used plenty of clones.
Yeah.
I can see people need to get clones. I can understand the whole reason of getting clones. I don't necessarily agree with it now, obviously, because I've got to know people in the industry that it affects. But yeah, it's not just in the groups now, like you were saying. It's these vendors. There's various shops that openly sell clones, which I personally have no issue over openly stating the clones. A little bit of an issue, but not a major one. But it's just,
I think the issue. I think the issue then goes slightly further when somebody has been sold a clone and been told that it's authentic, and then maybe 6 months down the line they want to sell that mod again. Now, they shouldn't be penalised because they genuinely didn't know, but how are you going to decide between whether they did know and they're just selling it to make a bit of money,
their reaction?
That's the thing you've got to question.
Yeah, their reaction when you question it, that'll normally tell me whether someone's being genuine. If someone's being genuine, they're like, "What? Really? Okay, you know," and they'll be shocked, and you'll be able to see it, and they'll be like, "Well, you know, I bought it as authentic. I bought it off this guy." Whereas somebody that's not really shooting straight, they're going to be, how can I say, sort of like, "No, it's not a clone." Do you get what I mean? And just try and flat out deny it.
Yeah, they're going to be argumentative.
Yeah, but the thing for me is with the clones, right? Like I said, nobody's going to bash anybody for using one, right? At the end of the day, people off the bags, fair dues. But in defence of the companies making the original stuff, I'd like to see the money going back to their hard work and their thought of what they've put into their product. You know what I mean? And you know, in a lot of respects now, you can buy authentic stuff for the price of a clone. some of these brands are now making them afford, bringing the prices right down to the point that they are affordable, and that they're in comparison with them prices. Shush.
Well, yeah, but you
that's
can see the budget
okay.
stuff being cloned as well. Even the budget stuff gets cloned as well, which is just ridiculous. I mean, obviously, first of all, way back when, there was only a few RDAs available, and they only made them in limited numbers. And either you had to know somebody, you knew somebody to be able to get you one, or you'd have to buy a clone. Otherwise, you wouldn't get one. And back then, there wasn't a choice. Now, you can buy for 20, 30 quid a really well-performing RDA. I mean, you can buy them for that amount of money. If you shop around, you can get one that's authentic. So for me, the whole, it's cheaper, I can't justify spending this amount. Well, you don't have to spend that amount.
At one time you did, but as you say, look around now. It's like I've says to anybody, if they want something in particular, give me a shout, and if I can help find it, I will do. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. If I can find them the product that they want, we'll do our best to find them at the right price. You know what I mean?
The messages in chat are coming up saying most of the time you can tell by the lack of packaging or the style of packaging. Hello, Simon Burr. I hope you're well, sir. But I've also seen an example where one of the big American companies, their RDAs have been cloned, and there's cards of authenticity in it, and they're looking exactly the same.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's getting harder to spot.
These ones who are being sold as authentic, the only reason I was able to tell that they were clones was by the batch number on the bottom of the RDAs, and the packaging didn't have the holograms on them. That was the only way that I could tell. Other than that, they looked exactly like they should have. I can't speak to their performance because I never used one. But literally, there was no way of telling by looking at the packaging other than the hologram wasn't there. So if you didn't expect there to be a hologram in the first place, because it was your first product by this company, then you're not to know any different. So in some cases, but like I say, it's got a lot. The cloners have got a lot closer to the actual authentics. I mean, it's become really hard to tell. So I just think if anybody's selling clones, they just need to label them as clones and be done with it,
Yeah.
Yeah, if somebody was after that device in the first place and they wanted to buy a clone, and they see that it says clone, then they're going to be happy. If somebody wants to buy an authentic and goes, oh, that's relatively cheap, I'm going to go for it because I fancy that is not far off the price that I'd expect to pay for a second hand of say this mod. But then they get a clone, and it's like you'll get a point where sometimes you will be able to tell because it'll turn up and it will look terrible, or you won't, because as Zippy said, it's getting a lot harder to notice clones nowadays. They're getting a lot better with it.
Well, you look at the one.
I don't buy clones just out of sheer respect for the original manufacturers of the actual device, RDA, tank, whichever you want. Not saying that I've never bought them. I have bought them due to, i.e., not affording it back in the earlier days, or even just not realising or knowing. I mean, originally when certain well-known sites slash app were selling, that sells a lot of stuff, they changed the wordings, or they would hide what it was in
style. Yeah,
and they'd put it as styled or something like that. And to me, it was like you would misread that at times. And to me, that was very shady. If it is a clone, come out and say, yes, this is a clone. We've made it out of this. We've tried to make it as close to the original product as we can, the best materials that we can, for a price for you. But then it also comes back to the point that the authentic companies, they're selling these the mods, the actual RDAs, cheap enough as it is. So to me, really, there is no point in selling a clone RDA if the RDAs are cheap enough as they are. I mean, okay, I know I know some people, they don't have, they don't always have 20, 30 quid to spend on an RDA. They've probably got about 10, 15 pounds. And they want a new one. So, or their partner goes out and buys it for them off an internet site and not know it, kind of thing. But coming back to where the companies that are selling the clones, they should clearly say it is a clone.
Yeah, just reading the comments there. And Simon Burr, he's saying, you know, you've got whole pages out there, Facebook groups that are dedicated to selling clones. And, you know, the issue comes, and he's right when he says this, when you buy from a Chinese site, you don't know what you're getting until it arrives. You know, so goes back to what I said, and that's making sure that the companies that you buy your stuff off are ones that actually do distribute and, you know what I mean, set and retail for these specific manufacturers. You know, and there's always a safe way to find out, and that's to contact the manufacturer themselves. You know, if you're really that worried about it, which you should be. Rep Smart, Simon, the consumer will always be there. Clones come from manufacturers who hold no regard for the companies that use them. Cut out the manufacturing. And it's true, there will always be a market for counterfeit goods. You know, there will always be a market. People, it comes down to people having champagne and lemonade money a lot of the time. They want to have the flashiest looking mods that they can, rather than just buying a 15 quid pod system, you know. And at the end of the day, you know, if you can't afford the latest or the best or the more expensive gear, then, you know, no one's going to bash you for it. I mean, we were ribbing Vinny just now about the smock thing. That's just an inside joke between us. You know, not everything, all brand, everywhere, you know, within vaping.
I used to like the TFV12 tank back in the day, but I never liked the coils personally. I always used to like the RDA base at the bottom. That used to be for me. I used to love doing that, slapping my own coils. I'd be happy on a smock. And that was in my earlier days when I started building and I started vaping.
That's right. Everybody started somewhere, you know. Nobody started vaping, you know, and suddenly we had the knowledge to build coils and do this. Everybody starts somewhere, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, like my first kit was Aspire K4s or something like that, and that was good. And then I moved on to more box mods, and the next thing I know, I'm using mechanicals.
Yeah,
so yeah, you all start somewhere.
My first mech mod. Oh, sorry, Vin.
Go on, Chris. It's all right. Go on.
Yeah, my first mech mod was Hellboy by Vaportech. I think it only cost me 30 quid with an RDA that matched, and it was beautiful. It was copper and stainless steel together, and it looked stunning. 30 quid, I had it for ages. Wasn't the best, it wasn't the most powerfulest mod I've ever tried or had, but it got me into the world of mechs.
Which is fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. I think the big issue, obviously, there's these big chains and selling these clones as genuine. That's just so wrong on so many levels.
Yeah.
We're not going to name them, but I'm that close to naming them. If I was in a JA's mood, I'd be naming them, but I'm not in a JA's mood. I'm in a good mood, so I ain't going to name them. We know who they are. They know who they are. So they need to realise that this practice isn't acceptable to the vape community.
No, it's not. You know, and you know, and first of all, they tried to argue the toss and this and that and the other, but in the end, you know, it was just one of them things. You know,
I'm still conning people.
Yeah, but the thing is, we don't know how many of them they'd already sold up until that point. They got took down, you know. So it's just one of them things that just happens. But it's deceitful. You know, the cloners, they do a lot of damage anyway. They cost the actual real manufacturers a lot of money. You know, and that's bad enough. But then for them to be sold on as authentic is just a kick in the teeth.
Yeah, it really is.
So
Really?
on the topic, but slightly off the topic. So everybody here, their first mech, was it clone or authentic? Mine was a clone. I bought a clone AV, and to be fair, I didn't really know the difference between authentic and clone at the time. I didn't know the price points of an AV compared to what the clone one was. It cost me 30 quid for a battle deck, and I just wanted to try the bottom button, so I kind of educated myself. So what was everybody else's? Was it clone or authentic?
Mine was
I just-
authentic. I had a limitless. I had a limitless that I got cheap. I bought it pretty cheap and I sold it on to somebody else, and it was their first mech. It became their first mech. So, but it was just a basic tube mod. It had one of the RDTAs on top, which I quickly changed for a different RDA. But it did me well for quite a while. That did.
As far as I know, mine was 100% authentic. I did buy it through a shop who was a friend that was working in there. But even then, at 30 quid, it's not a very well-known company. So it was a very small company that obviously manufactures Vapotech. Obviously, since then, they've possibly got bigger, possibly not. I don't really see or hear myself there, but yeah, 30 quid with an RDA. Oh, what gonna know?
Go on, Zippy, what was yours?
I had a Stingray clone.
Proper old school.
My sort of first introduction to everything. Almost
I think Steve's just lost his camera.
No, it's all right. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay, my first mech was a cleaner stack, a bit like Simon Burr in the comments. I got it on a Friday, and I used it through the weekend, and then on a Monday I ordered my first genuine purge. Well, I got my first genuine purge actually through Andy, and that's where my love affair of it all started with mechs. But yeah, I've had clone RDAs and things like that, and through the years, giving them all away now to friends and people that needed things. But yeah.
And then you've gone backwards a little bit.
So again.
Then he's gone backwards a little bit because he's now using Smog again.
Right. Just quickly, so people don't think I'm being ignorant and everything else. I am actually on holiday and I'm going back to Birmingham tonight, so I'm sort of got the kids and I'm eating. After this, I'm going back to Brum, so you'll have to excuse me on that.
No, he's just ignorant. Don't listen to him. He's just plain ignorant.
He's very ignorant.
Tracy Hagan in chat as well. She's just said, I've got a and it does the job. Shame the boyfriend stole it to vape CBD, lol.
Fair play.
I think everybody can relate to that one. I think we've all had devices stolen, borrowed, and never to be returned again by somebody else. But yeah, I mean, Rep Smart there, V-God Pro is my first mech. All right, little mech too. And yeah, they were pretty good little mechs. The V-God Pros, tiny little things, but
Can't fault with V-God.
No, I mean, they were, I think it was the best-selling mech of the year, like, was it 2017, maybe, something like that. But, I don't think really that's a fair comparison to other companies that brought out more than one mech, because V-God literally had that device and that device only for such a long time. So, they sold loads of them. But yeah, I've still got mine. I've got a red one that I stripped back to bare copper. And they're pretty decent little mechs. It's one that I won't get rid of.
Here's one for you, Irving. Out of all your old mechs that you had and got rid of, which one would you want back?
I've got mine back. So technically I've sort of done
that. Answer it, though.
There's a couple that Andy's got that were mine that I could quite happily have back. And I know that he's not going to give them back.
I'm getting carried with that. To be honest, I've kept everything that I wanted to keep. Anything that I've got rid of, I've kind of got no regrets on that front, if you know what I mean. It's yeah, I've got quite an extensive collection anyway, and yeah, I'm not sat here reminiscing about something else and wishing that I still had it, because
There was
everything.
only the one of mine. There was only the one of mine, and that was the Vitality that I had patinaed by Peter China.
Yeah, and
But I
you
got
got,
that back.
yeah,
Luckily, I got that back.
that's a beautiful
But
setup.
outside that, the thing is, I've always sold mine to people that I know that will appreciate the mech. I haven't just sold them to anybody. You know what I mean? They've always gone to somebody that I know appreciates that brand or is looking for that particular mod for their collection. So I've got no regrets in selling any. If you know what I mean?
I think there's only one mech mod that I've sold that I would have back, and it was just a cheap Chinese, the Geek Vape Tsunami kit.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was about that mod, but I really, really liked that mod. And I got rid of it for a VCM stack, and I've barely used the stack since, and I kind of feel like I'd probably go and buy another one of them little Tsunamis for just a cheap everyday beta mod.
Evening, Lily. Good to see you in chat. Good evening.
Hello, Lily. Rex Smart says he's never ever got rid of a mod. Well, rid of a device. Well, I've got rid.
He's a hoarder.
Yeah, I've got rid of a bunch, but I have kept a fair few that I've liked. The only mod I could probably say that I missed owning was one that I won in a competition some years back. And that was the soy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was a nice little mech mod.
Is that like SOI, Chris?
Yes, SOI. I've always called them soy, so sure.
That's what you put on the Chinese takeaway, mate.
Let's not go there.
He had that one written down. He's had that one written down for about 2 weeks. Been
I was
waiting.
going to say, you can see the ones that he's sort of sat there and he's sort of really thought about, and he's kept them for a month at a time. Yeah, we've finished one live, and there's something's come to him, and it's like, yeah, I'll keep that for next time. He's probably got it on a post-it note on the back of his screen somewhere.
So I'm going to
Yeah, there you go.
Excuse me, Vincent. I do flashcards.
They're not flashcards. They're not little
I left them at home this week.
How you doing, Justin, mate? You all right? We've got Justin Moon in chat, Vincent.
Hey, Justin. Good to see you, buddy. Bloody hell, it's been a while.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it has been a while.
It's been a long while.
Right, so little change of subject, really. What's going on out in America? San Francisco banned vaping. I mean, has the world really gone mad? You know, is it a prank or what? I know it's not, and I shouldn't even say that, but it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Just seems crazy. In the same week they ban it, the cancer research thing in America, I can't remember what it's probably called off the top of my head, now it's gone, start backing vaping. For the first time, the American Cancer Research people start backing vaping as a smoking cessation, and then San Francisco go ban it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they do a turnaround on that, though.
Well, I mean,
I'm hoping to see a turnaround on that.
did anybody watch the video that was shared in the LXV group? It was a video, and it was about the way that lobbyists work and everything out in America, the stuff that we sort of touched on last week a little bit.
Yeah.
And about how it's not just big tobacco, it's also companies, pharmaceutical companies that make nicotine patches, and, you know, all these other things, and they're all working together. And there is some tying together of these groups with federal grant money from the FDA, and there's a lot of it that seems to be very, very much connected. And it just confirms a lot of the stuff that we were saying last week, really. You know,
that was an eye opener, and I think that's been an eye opener for a lot of people.
Well,
to the extent of what's involved.
Well, they were the first ones
just
to
made
bring
a
the
comment.
flavor ban. San Francisco brought in the flavor ban first, I believe, sometime last year. So this has followed on directly from that. You know,
Are they vaping on pure VG, or is it just tobacco flavours only?
I'm not 100% sure on the language of it all and everything like that. It's obviously something that's only just been like literally passed in the last week or whatever. So, I mean, I don't really know 100% about it. Yeah, that's Tracy there. She's saying they have 7 months to change their minds before it comes into effect. They banned it as an experiment, basically.
Yeah.
But
I think there'll be a turnaround on that.
yeah, but it's like they banned it as an experiment. But what about all the vape businesses in San Francisco then? I mean, you know, what happens to them? Like, what with this experiment? Is the government going to, you know, are they going to recompensate them for all the revenue that's been lost for 6 months?
But having said
Well,
that, you actually see anybody doing a banking ban.
But yeah, I was talking to Repsmart the other day about exactly what he's just said. With the it's only banned as an experiment, whether there would be riots or fallouts to see how much the tobacco revenue would go up. And I think that's probably the right way to think about it, is they've done it to see whether they can get away with doing it in the other areas in America, to see if they'd be able to do it. Because they're losing the money.
It's right in Jewel back garden as well, isn't it? Jewel are based in San Francisco, just outside of San Francisco. So they've got to be feeling that.
Well, I mean, I went into vape shop the other day, and I went in there and they had a big. I just couldn't believe it. I walked in there and they had a blue display one side, right? A great big blue display one side, a dual display the other side, and then all 6 licks, posters and everything all behind the counter. And I was like, I just said to the guy, I said, don't you ever get any shit off anyone for this? And he sort of looked at me bewildered, like, and I was like, you know, prepared to get ready to have some shit for it, because what are you doing? And he just didn't really seem to care. You know,
just point out the companies that Andy's just named there are predominantly owned by big tobacco companies. So that's where that bit comes from. If people didn't know that, they are. And I don't care. I've just said that because they are. And to me, they are a big enemy of the vape. And the whole vape industry, the whole vape community, big tobacco is a no-no.
As far as I'm concerned, any company that's owned by big tobacco or any pharmaceutical company that's trying to get their way into the vape scene, after they're the ones that have basically been trying to destroy it and stop us from being able to do what we want to do. Anybody really that uses their product, sells their product, or endorses their product in any way, really all you're doing is helping them harm the vaping community, the thing that everybody says they care so much about. But, you know, like the blue reps were going around and giving people these free stands, flashy looking stands and everything to put in their shops. And that's how they got around the people and got their products into the shops. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, they should all be boycotted. But, you know, I'm pro-choice. Everyone can choose to do what they want, but I won't be using any of their products.
No, and none of their products will ever feature on my channel knowingly. I will never knowingly review a product that is produced by a big tobacco company. Ever.
My personal view is, if you're mostly owned by a big tobacco company, I'm going to avoid your product at all costs.
Yeah.
Now, unless that big tobacco company that owns your company, or the majority of your company, shows and proves they are trying to do good for the vape community and are actively trying to, you know, do what's best for the vape community,
I mean,
needs to be cut out.
But on the other side of the coin of that, are they ever going to be seen as doing any good for the vaping community?
Well, Marlboro have said that by, I think it's 2029, they're going to be tobacco free or smoke free completely as a company. So they say, you know, they're going to be concentrating on smokeless tobacco products, which is just, as far as I'm concerned, it's just vaporizing tobacco, you know, burning it at really low temperature. And you know, and then going on to the vaping stuff more. But I can't see Marlboro, you know, pulling out of the cigarette market. I just can't see it.
But for me, that's 10 years down the line too late. they've got the money
Are
to be
you on
able
about them
to.
little,
Yeah.
Are you on about them little IQOS systems? Is that what you're on about? The little things that you put like a cigarette in?
Yeah, the
See
icon
that?
or whatever it's called.
Yeah, they're called smokeless devices. They call them, and yeah, basically it's kind of like a dry herb vaporizer, if you know what one of them is. You know, it's just one of them basically, and you know, I don't know whether it's any better for you than smoking. I don't know, but at the end of the day,
the manufacturers of the IQOS actually got a major rap across the knuckles at the High Court because they actually targeted, especially NHS staff, and promoted the IQOS or whatever it's bloody called as a healthier form of smoking. And that, in the High Court, they then got told they could not use the word healthier with their product. So if you ever see an IQOS or whatever it's chuffing called, promoting and saying healthier forms, get the bugger reported to trading standards, advertising standards, whatever, because it's not. And they've had a High Court massive fine. They got just over £1 million, I think they got, but they actually targeted NHS staff with that.
Yeah, Rep Smart says it's like introducing a disease to the population and selling the cure. He also support the horrible thing is we are restricted on the amount of ways to educate other vapers. We need more outlets to educate people. Vape Geordie James says you need more sexy beasts like Vinny. You need to put your eyes. Yeah, if you think he's sexy, God, you've got a lot of crap in your eyes.
yeah, IQOS, heat not burn. Simon Burr says that is what they're called. Yeah, and like I say, it's just a halfway sort of measure to make it look like they're trying to do something better. But for me, you know, it's a non-starter. Healthy and smoking shouldn't be in the same sentence. Yeah, completely agree, Simon. You know, that's like saying I'm going to go and have a healthy McDonald's.
That was the line they was using in their advertising, though, and especially when they targeted the NHS staff, because obviously they wanted to get the NHS staff aboard to promote it to patients. And in all the bumps that came with it was a healthier option to smoking. Unreal.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the only healthier option to smoking, really, that we know of is vaping or the nicotine patches. Sorry, my dogs are making a load of noise. Shush. But yeah, it's definitely not a healthier way of smoking. You know, at the end of the day, there is clinical stuff there to back up, you know, vaping as being a healthier, you know, way to give up smoking. So, you know, the evidence is there. So why are people still trying to look for different ways? It's like they're trying to reinvent the wheel again. Go and lie down. Go on. Sorry, my dogs are just running around like idiots. Go and lie down.
Never do a live with animals or kids.
Yeah,
feed off with his 2-year, well, he's 1-year-old in his lap.
Sorry, man.
Just reading now, Rep Smart, you know, he's saying he's not being funny, but the devices they're selling is besides the point. Any company that openly sells cigarettes and vaping devices are immoral and shouldn't be allowed in business. And he said a little bit further up there that it's like, you know, injecting the disease and then selling the cure to people. It's, you know, it is immoral. You get people hooked on cigarettes. And then, you know, when they want to get away from that, and it's like, no, we still want to make our money off you. You know, yeah. It's one of them things. Got to agree there with Rep Smart.
And at the end of the day, it's cancer. At the end of the day, you smoke, your chances of getting cancer are through the bloody roof. I mean, most people now, I think you've got a 50-50 chance of going through your life without getting cancer, and that's if you don't smoke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It seriously reduces. I mean, I spoke to somebody when I went to the doctor's back along, and it turns out that I was speaking to the smoking specialist of the specific doctors that I was in, and they said that the NHS completely backed vaping, which we all knew anyway. But they said at the minute they can't put it on leaflets because they haven't got the go-ahead for it. But it significantly reduces your chance of cancer compared to smoking, because the toxins that you're putting in your body from smoking, which everybody knows, is really bad for you. Whereas the stuff that's in your e-juice isn't. And everybody with 2 brain cells knows that. It's just weird that more people aren't going over to vape devices rather than the smoke-free or the smokeless devices that Andy was on about a minute ago. It seems that they're not working. But then again, them smoke-free devices down in the shop where just down the road from me, obviously not a vape shop, but the corner shop, they're selling them, but a week's free trial first. So that's how they're getting people in, because they think they're going to get something for free.
But hopefully, if we continue with and carry on doing what we're doing, it, as well as other people out there that are doing YouTube videos and stuff, it can help highlight and educate people and change people's opinion to the, supposed negatives of vaping.
The problem is all the fake news out there about it. That's the issue, is a lot of people still believe the fake news that was put out about vaping in the first place. I got told by somebody the other week at a rugby game that, vaping would give me pneumonia. I mean, it's just, where do they even get this crap from? I mean, it's just...
Well, that's what I say. Hopefully, by doing what we're doing, we can continue to educate people and actually show people the right side of it. I mean, not being funny, we've got Vinny, who's working in line with NHS and stuff like that. So, that's a major sort of bonus. And that's sort of the feedback from that is exactly what's needed to sort of put in people's faces and say, look, this is where we stand. This is what we're doing. And going forward, this is where the intention is.
Yeah.
And hopefully that'll raise the awareness.
Still, I was looking at the figures the other day. I think it's 7.8 million smokers in the UK still. That's just the UK. And out of them 7.8 million, it's just below 40% that have actually tried a vape.
Yeah.
That's the brainwashing that's going on, and the false news and everything like that. It's just unreal.
I think one of the first propaganda pieces of information I've ever seen was it was an American thing, surprise. It said that you're 4 times more likely to start smoking if you vaped. He's like, well, that's complete enough of bollocks, because every single vapor that I've met and know are ex-smokers that wanted to come off the cigarette. It's actually
completely wrong. Ever heard of somebody that didn't already smoke, that started vaping and then went on to cigarettes? That is just complete crap. I mean, okay. Even the best of us might have a bad day and have what, we call a relapse kind of thing and have a smoke or whatever. But, I mean, that's not what they're saying, that, like what Chris just said there. If you vape, you're 4 times more likely to start smoking cigarettes. I mean, where do they get this info from?
See, this is the thing I'd like to see some of these people actually on this show. Come and sit and tell me where you're getting this info from. You know what I mean? Especially these like this Jewel and everyone else. I'd like to get them in and actually sit with somebody and turn around and say, right, you tell me what you're doing. You tell me what you're vendetta.
I can't see Philip Morris coming on here.
No, but you know what I mean? I mean, not being funny, but these people are there that are saying, we want to do this for the vape community. We want to do that. Get involved.
Yeah.
Actually, get on a show like this one and turn around and come and try and persuade me that your incentive initiative is going to be healthy for me.
Yeah.
I want to see one of them on this show that actually, because all I'm seeing is bits of paper, and it's crap. Come on the show, put a name to a face, put a face to a name, and actually sit there and come and have a debate. I'd like to put an open invite out to them, I would.
I might actually know someone that might do that.
Mate, if they're willing to do it, fair play to them.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'd like to see happen.
I mean, with the big tobacco companies, I think one way to show, especially those that own a majority in a vape product, I think one of the ways that they could show they are trying to do well for the vape and are actually truly interested in, turning a new leaf, so to speak, is to completely and utterly discontinue making
Tobacco.
just completely stop making all the tobacco products. But they won't, because they make so much money from it, and that's all they care about in my eyes.
But for me, I don't want to see them jumping on a bandwagon that they think is the next popular thing. I want them actually to turn around and put down a plan going over a few years and say what they're going to do. This is their intention, this is what they want, and this is what they want to achieve. I want to hear from them.
The only thing they want to achieve is to extract as much money from everyone as possible. And, you can get them on here and they can dress it up in whatever way they want. It doesn't change.
You know yourself. If somebody's going to sit there and bullshit you to your face, you're going to see straight through it. And they will be called out on that.
Oh, too
You know what I mean? They will be called out. You can tell when somebody's crapping you. A piece of paper means nothing, man. I want to see them actually come in and say it and actually look me square in the eye and turn around and say, yeah, we want to do this because we want to help.
They only want to help if they're going to make money, though. This is the thing, and this is that. Like I say, go back to the video that was shared into the LXV Facebook page, is also shared on a few other places as well, obviously. But this woman, she actually investigated and gone into all of the stuff in America. Like I say, about how a lot of these companies that are putting out the research saying that vaping is bad, they're actually being funded, these companies, by the FDA.
It's a massive collaboration.
And, these same tobacco companies and whatever pharmaceutical companies, they're the ones that are paying for the political campaigns for the senators or whatever in America. And, you've got lobbyists that are going around and making sure that, and that is how bills get passed, like what's just got passed now in San Francisco. It's because of this weird sort of political system that, is very different to ours in the way, with the lobbyists and stuff like that. Yeah, okay, we have people that look out for their own self-interest within our own government. That's no secret, but the problem that you've got in America is a lot of the politicians, I feel like they're owned by these companies, that they're owned because they paid for their campaigns, and donated the money and stuff. Just looking now again at the comments.
The conversations.
Yeah, Simon Burr saying he had a conversation with somebody on our group who said they can't vape because it gives them popcorn lung. And he explained that it wasn't popcorn lung, it was the shit coming off their lungs from giving up smoking.
That's exactly what it is.
I mean, how many actual confirmed cases of popcorn lung from vaping have there been?
None. Not one.
There you go.
You know how many's actually died of popcorn lung?
Yeah, no. It's like, I think it was a couple of people.
One death, the death was associated to popcorn lung, and that was a factory worker in the state making popcorn in the 1980s. One.
Yeah, because
it
comes from popcorn factories, doesn't it? That's the where it comes from.
It's the chemicals and stuff.
Diacetyl.
Yeah. The thing is, what people don't realise is that, yes, some liquids used to have diacetyl in it, but one cigarette has 100 times as much diacetyl as any vape liquid ever had. But the cancer kills you quicker than the diacetyl does.
But if you, not being funny, if people are worried about popcorn lung and what's in their vape juice, I'm sorry, buy a reputable vape juice.
Exactly.
They're TP, they're regulated, and everything else. You know, these shops have paid money to have this, and we're talking tens of thousands.
If you're that worried, just buy TPD 10ml bottles, and you know it hasn't got anything like that in it. If you're that worried about it, and you know that measurements have been taken by the government to stop these ingredients being used in our vape liquid, so even if it was
some of these people are the ones that really tick me off, because of the simple fact they'll say that and they'll moan about it, but then they'll go and buy bathtub juice, which isn't tested. They don't know where it's made and everything else. And that to me is double standards. It's like, you know, how can you, you know what I mean?
There's a comment down there that says the diacetyl used in popcorn flavouring only ever 4 confirmed cases, and all of them worked in the popcorn factories. Now, I was just about to touch on that. Yeah, it's literally 4 confirmed cases of popcorn lung, and none of them are vape related. They just see that. They just see that it was in the juices before TPD came about and all that. It was in the juices. Oh my God, that must cause popcorn lung. That must cause, and that's where it all started. And the thing is, it's still doing it today, and there's no diacetyl in the liquids.
It's stuck in the public minds. It really has. The whole popcorn really stuck in the public minds. When I did my presentation at university on my dissertation around vaping, all the questions after it, the questions were longer than the actual presentation, and most of them were formed around popcorn lung.
Yeah, but that's something that's been going around for that many years now. You're looking at completely re-educating and taking some of this brainwashed sort of info away, and that's hard to do.
There's things coming through the NHS that it's moving. It's very slow, but it is moving.
But the thing is, you know, not being funny, right? We have the NHS on side, right? They are all for, in many respects, vaping and everything else.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They are pushing for that. And this is, to me, that's one thing that America don't have.
No. The thing is,
if they did, America, that's why we don't have this issue.
Yeah, well, in America, poorly people make money. Poorly people pay. Poorly people pay for prescriptions, to pay for their hospital care. It all generates money. It's a completely vicious cycle, because ill people generate money for the economy, for the big farmers, pharmaceuticals, everything. Poorly people in America is a money maker. That's a big thing. Whereas here, we pay our national, what's it called?
National insurance.
National insurance, that's the one. And that goes to pay for our NHS. Yes, the NHS is under strain and things like that. And I don't know if anyone saw the TVP show last night, The Inside the Minds. They kind of touched on that, but kind of got the facts a little bit wrong on certain things. But I'm not going to call them out on that. Speak to me personally about that if they want to. But yeah, luckily we're very different to the States at the minute. But the way things are going, obviously, these moves made by Joel, sending out all these bloody things where they're sending out mystery shoppers, catching out vape shops and things like that. That's the start of it for me. That's the start of big tobacco sticking their noses in and putting what we love under threat.
But is it under threat? Because the more we talk about it, the more people are educated on it. The more people that are.
I will say this though, I've seen this in vape shops, and I've seen people now. The law with tobacco is, you know, if the person looks under 25, you ID them, right? You know that is the way that it works with tobacco products. You've got to be 18 to buy them, but if you look under 25, you're supposed to be asked for ID. Now, I've stood in vape shops and watched them just serving people that I would have ID'd. You know, so I will say that the people, all right, Joel, they are going around and they are doing this. But if people were vigilant and actually did ID people, not just care about getting a sale, then Joel wouldn't be able to do that. Do you get what I'm saying? They're just
very true, very true.
You know, so something there. that lies with somewhere along the lines. I mean, even with the vape groups, if somebody tries to join Vape Den or whatever, and they answer the question and say they're only 18, I ask them to prove it. They've got to show me their driving license or something, with all the proper info blacked out and everything, other than the date of birth and the picture. Otherwise, they won't even get in the vape group. So
and that's how it should be.
Yeah,
that's how it should be.
Well,
I mean, that's a positive thing, because not being funny, I know a lot of groups do it in this and the other, but some are a bit lapsed with members, and they have found members in the groups that haven't passed, and should never be in there. But, hopefully that's something that everyone's
But then again,
I won't allow anybody.
Every one of us here is either a parent or going to be a parent. If you caught one of your children smoking, what would you do? Say they're under 18, what would you do if you caught one of them smoking?
If I caught my daughter smoking, I'd kick off.
Yeah, no go, man.
Right.
I mean,
Would you give them a vape? Would you give them a vape?
I mean,
that's a hard one.
No.
I'd rather not do either.
I wouldn't encourage them to do either, personally. But I've got a son who's 19 that smokes. I've tried to get him to vape, and he'll go to it for a little while, and then he'll go back to smoking, because when he's at work, he's working with people that are smoking, and he finds that hard. And it's one of these things. I mean, I haven't encouraged him to smoke. I've tried to encourage him to vape, but when he was under 18, I didn't encourage him to do either. It's fine. It was just a hard line, no smoking, don't smoke, it's bad for you, don't vape, don't smoke, don't start. But unfortunately, as kids do, they keep things from you, and they do things on the quiet with their friends and stuff, and then by the time you actually do find out, it's too late. And so now I'm trying to get him to, go back to vaping again, which, is...
Well, that's where the issue lies, isn't it? Like, a lot of people are starting smoking because of peer pressure, because of their friends are doing it, and they want to fit in, and they want to be like this, and that is where the main issue lies, is because of that, you then can't tell your 16, 17-year-old son or daughter that they need to start vaping. You can't tell them that they need to, that they're okay smoking until they're 18. You've got to try and convince them not to do either. Then if they are still smoking when they get to 18, then you can try and swerve them onto vaping and be like, you need to go and get yourself a vape. I think that's the only way around it.
I agree. I mean, I'd hope that, my kids learn from my mistakes. The only reason I vape was because I smoked.
Yeah.
End of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that, my kids are too young to understand. The ones old enough to sort of realise what's what. But, I'd hope that, I can show them the mistakes that I've made and the repercussions of them mistakes. You know what I mean?
That's it, innit? You want them to learn by your mistakes, not have to go and learn by their own to some extent, But sometimes
it's not, because not being funny, a lot of us are suffering because we smoked.
Yeah.
We've hit that. I mean, I'm 44 this year, so I mean, I'm hitting that stage where it's things are catching up. Things don't even go there, man. We're not going to discuss your life.
Yeah.
Still going to look like 10 boy.
My daughter's 13 this July. And I'm lucky because she doesn't ever want to smoke. She doesn't ever want to vape. She wants nothing of that.
I'll openly say I was smoking at 13. I was smoking at 13 years old. I was smoking,
I was smoking around... I started around 12 years old. And that's when I found out I could start buying the cigarettes from the local shop for all my friends. It was 50p for a packet of 10 plus a fag. So I'd have the fag, and then I'd have the money. And I'd easily go and buy myself another fag. Both my parents smoked, and I'd nick their tobacco and do a roll up myself. I could do roll up.
I remember back in the day, where all you had to do is take a note that was supposedly signed by your mum and dad. Can I have 20 B&H, please? You know what I mean?
I used to get sent with the note to buy them from my dad.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's one of you know, if ever I wanted a fag, I'd just do that. And, you know, it was easy then because 10p would buy you a single. You know what I mean? As well. You know, it was one of them. I used to sell my dinner tickets at school. Sell my dinner tickets. That'd pay for my cigarette. Sell the fags at 50p each. Mate, I was walking out of school at the end of the week with about 30, 40 quid.
Nah, I'd never sell my dinner ticket. Let me just make that clear. I would never sell my dinner ticket. No way.
We can tell. We can tell.
I think you was the one that was buying them off Zippy, were you?
I see them. I see the clips on his dungarees are getting a bit shorter, aren't they?
I've got the dungarees on you, son. I've got my bloody t-shirt on.
I'm on about when you're normally wearing them.
He's got the dungarees down here. They're not done up at the minute.
Low riders.
He's doing an 80s throwback and dropping the straps. Been there. So, man. So, it's been there.
There's a comment here that says, I think honestly all of us are vapers. Oh no, wrong one. This one. Not everyone has a driving license or passport. My other half has epilepsy, so will never have a driving license. And £70 is a lot to pay out for a passport when you can't afford to travel abroad. But I think that citizenship cards also get classed as ID now.
Yeah,
I think they're cheap.
The thing is, if you know, going on that, if it was in relation to a group or a shop, I think if you went in and explained that to them and sort of sat down and had a 5-minute chat with them or dropped them a message, people will understand that. Not everybody has got a driving license or photo card ID, but there are other ways. You know, if he's got epilepsy, not being funny, chances are he's on disability.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have a letter for that with your date of birth and your number on and everything else. So, you know, we haven't got to, you don't have to show all that information. You just have to, you know, a little bit up there.
It's a way of protecting. I mean, you know, running vape groups myself, it's just a way of protecting, you know, yourself and the group as well from, like, you know, it's one of these things that, you know, you've just got to be vigilant with it and ask people, you know, and make sure that they are old enough. Otherwise, you end up, I've had some people, and like this one guy, he looked about 14 and he said that he was 18. And I said to him, you know, I was like, can you prove it? Yeah, can you show me some ID? And he was just like, F you, your vape group shit anyway. And that told me that I was right in guessing his age was 14. I mean, I expected him to say my dad's vape group's better than yours or something like that, you know. You know, but you do get people occasionally, and, you know, but anyone genuine, you know, they're going to have a reason for it, and they say, look, this is the reason why. I know myself, I'm disabled, I can't drive, I have got a passport, but, you know, and chances are, no, I'm not going to get asked for ID. You know.
Oh, that's what I was saying. That little 5-minute chat, you can tell when somebody's being genuine or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a lot easier to take as well.
Exactly.
You know, people think we do it to be nosy, and it's not that we're doing it to be nosy or pry into anything, but we've got to protect ourselves as well as protecting them. Because, not being funny, you get a young person in your group now, and a troll spots it, that shit blows up real quick.
Oh yeah, it really.
You know
does.
what I mean? People will jump on that, and people will hammer that to death.
With our group, the amount of times I've actually asked people, like, not being funny, you don't look 25, can you prove how old you are? And I get told, fuck off, I'm not going to show you my address and all that and all that. I've explained that.
Well, that person's got no place in the group.
Yeah. I've said, like, look, not being funny, I'm not interested in your address. All I want to see is some photo ID with your picture and your date of birth. That's all I need. If you're impacting the age and you're fine, that's great. If not, sorry, you're not coming in. Then obviously they go on
people come giving it crap and all that when you've just asked them for a simple thing that at the end of the day is for their benefit as well as yours. I'm sorry, Control Alt Delete, you're gone. I don't give a monkeys.
I'll just block them.
That's it.
From the group.
I don't care. I've got zero tolerance to it.
And that's what we need to do. That's what every group needs to do.
So I just had quite a lot of comments tonight. I was just having a quick read through them.
You didn't tell us you could read.
Yeah, I'm full of chat about that. Simon Bear, you know, he's saying there's someone we don't know wins on our Facebook group. We ask for ID, simple as, and you know, I think that's the way it's got to be. You know, at the end of the day, there's always going to be a case where somebody might not have, you know, exactly the type of ID that'd be ideal, but you know, I'm pretty sure that most people could prove what year they were born.
I'll give Simon's Facebook group a shout out. The Vaping Birds. Simon runs the Vaping Birds. They sent no one in the BURRS. Great little group. He does some little juice reviews on the really active group if anyone wants to get involved with that. I'm in there quite a lot at the minute as well. And I'm going to do some reviews with Simon in the future.
Send me an ad.
I thought we were
What was that?
Add me in.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm in Moraine.
I don't know.
Right then, chaps, we've done over an hour again. Shall we wrap it up, or has anyone else got anything they want to say?
No, I'm good.
What's coming in episode 3?
Oh, we'll have to talk about that. Yeah, there's a few things in my mind for it already.
No, we can't do that. We can't do that.
Right, Jordan, have a quick plug of your channel, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am Vape Geordie James on YouTube. I also do live reviews for RVJ Facebook group. I'd love for you guys to check it out. I'll give a link to Vinny to put in the description for this group if anyone wants to check me out, and I would really appreciate it if you can. The last thing I want to say on this matter is if we are signing off, thank you everybody on this panel for letting me on and having me, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's been a real good hour.
A few shows.
Sorry,
I'll be back on.
What was that? Somebody just said.
Yeah, I said it's a pleasure, baby bun.
I'll tell you what, I'll take it down, shall I? There you go.
No, I'm back on.
You look like the guy off Slipknot without a mask on then.
Funnily enough, that's not the first time I've heard that one. I need your hat, Andy. That's what I need. I need your hat. Then I definitely look like.
It's 50 Chloro in his younger day.
My head's like a solar panel, so you know what I mean. I've got to wear some sort of protection on it at all times. Even when it's raining, having a bald head, the water just streams down your face. And yeah, when it's sunny, I just
not fucking your eyebrows.
do the old Noel Gallagher. Why not?
Yeah.
Need a fucking jacket on now.
And you look like one of the people that you used to do back in the 90s.
Yeah, Rep Smart's just said one last question there. What do we think about age verification online? You know, the age verification thing. Yeah.
There is no age verification. And
I mean, I've seen on eBay, it says, I have a valid age verification process that blah, 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 blah. And I just click buy and it just lets me buy it. It's like, it doesn't ask me anything. So I think that.
Maybe that can be a good topic for next time.
Yeah.
When I first ordered this online, I ordered it from Sky Vapers, and they had a thing before you check out. You have to take a photo of your driving license, passport, no matter what country you're in. They bear in mind what the age regulations are in that country, and they do it from that. So you've got to send them a photo of your passport or driving license before they will let you buy the product. And I think if more online stores did that, it would take away the underage vaping that is, in a way, starting to destroy the industry. That is where a lot of the issues are coming from, is the underage vaping.
Going back to
But
previous, for those people that haven't got a driving license or a passport, what about them? You're denying somebody a chance. There's got to be better ways.
Yeah, I mean that's just one way of doing it. Like,
we'll put that right there because we'll save that for next week. Not next week, a fortnight's time.
Yeah.
We'll be back on the
Correct,
4th.
I've been doing.
What was that, Chris?
I said, are we doing extras?
Yeah, we're running well over. So, yeah, we'll wrap it up, folks. Thank you all for watching. We loved all the comments in the chat tonight. That's been absolutely superb. Seen so much feedback coming in. And we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with the League of Extraordinary Vapers. Again,
As
George,
the saying-
thank you
As the
Thank you,
saying goes,
everyone else.
for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Subscribe. See more shows. See my reviews. Sod them.
Bye, bye, bye,
Bye.